This is Istanbul, one of the biggest cities in the world and the most populous city in the European continent with over 15 million people. Historically, Istanbul has been the powerhouse of Turkey's economic locomotion, partly because of its strategic location as an international junction of land and sea trade routes and connecting European and Asian continents. For the perspective, Istanbul's economy is equivalent to the economy of rich countries like the United Arab Emirates, and 3 times bigger than New Zealand's. And the crown jewel of Istanbul is definitely the Bosphorus Strait, connecting the Mediterranean and the Black Sea, and it is one of the major and busiest trade routes in the world. So in 2011, then Prime Minister of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, introduced a plan to build a new artificial strait called Canal Istanbul, running parallel to Bosphorus. And it is a staggering $15 billion project. The construction of the canal has started in June 2021, so in this video we will talk about all the ins and outs about why the government of Turkey is building the canal even though they already have the Bosphorus Strait. If we zoom into the region, here we can see the most strategically important choke points in the world, Bosphorus and Dardanelles, collectively known as Turkish Straits. These 2 Turkish straits are the only way in and out of the Black Sea, and they give Georgia, Ukraine, Russia, Romania and Bulgaria, and other landlocked countries in Central Europe and Central Asia access to the Mediterranean Sea for trade and passage to military and civilian ships. Whoever controls these 2 straits controls the access to the Black Sea. The armies of Xerxes and Alexander the Great both controlled and crossed them at some point, facilitating their grand conquests. The Turkish Straits, Bosphorus and Dardanelles are currently one of the most crowded waterways in the world. To give you the perspective of how Bosphorus is so packed and important, in the normal year of 2017, 53,000 ships, including oil tankers, military and civilian, transited through Bosphorus. In comparison, 12,000 ships in Panama Canal and 17,000 in Suez Canal. In March 2021, when Evergreen ship stuck in the Suez Canal, blocking the passage for 6 days, it was causing damage of $450 million every single hour to the global economy. Now imagine what kind of damage it would bring if some accident happens in the Bosphorus, which has 3 times more traffic than Suez Canal. The Turkish Straits see about 5% of maritime oil pass through their waters and are one of the 7 critical choke points for the maritime transit of oil. Since 90% of global trade is done through maritime, even temporarily blocking Bosphorus or Dardanelles would lead to catastrophic price spikes along the board. Additionally, these 2 straits are one of the most critical paths of global food security. Ukraine, Russia and Kazakhstan are some of the world's biggest wheat and grain producers and collectively export 1/5 of global wheat, and 1/6 of global maize go through the Turkish Straits. And in the coming years, in the Black Sea region, wheat and other exports dependence on Bosphorus is expected to increase dramatically, as it gives a lot of countries a gateway to Suez Canal, facilitating trade between Asia and Europe, and while the Strait of Gibraltar leads into Atlantic. So these Turkish Straits are extremely critical, not just because of the volume of exports, but there is no other way around. For example, if Suez Canal disappears completely, there is a way through the Indian Ocean to the Atlantic. But in the case of the Black Sea, Bosphorus is the only way in and out. Even politically, it's a clash point between 2 worlds, Russia and NATO. Russia was and is heavily dependent on Bosphorus to bring its military ships to the Middle East and help the Syrian government, so Turkey understands how important Bosphorus is and wants to add 1 more artificial strait through the city of Istanbul. Since the days of Suleiman the Magnificent in the 16th century, the idea of building a grand artificial sea-level waterway connecting the Black Sea to the Sea of Marmara has been an ambition that was never realized. Sultan Suleiman came close to building the canal, architects almost finished plans, even preparations were done for digging, but the project collapsed when military conflicts gripped the region. Over the years and centuries, it has been proposed a lot of times but never came to fruition. The Bosphorus Strait is 32 kilometers long and 550 meters wide even at the narrowest point, and 120 meters deep at maximum. The proposed artificial channel will be 40 to 45 kilometers long and 275 meters wide and 25 meters deep, running in parallel to Bosphorus. It will pass through the lake Küçükçekmece, several districts, and finally connect the Black Sea to the Sea of Marmara. One of the main arguments for building this channel was to reduce oil tanker traffic through the Bosphorus, and minimize the risks and dangers associated with maritime congestion. The Bosphorus is the world's narrowest strait for international navigation, and on top of that, it's one of the busiest. Huge ships have to make 45-degree turns at full speed in narrow parts of the strait, which is not an easy task. Since the 1950s, more than 450 maritime incidents have occurred here, including serious ones in 1979 when a Romanian oil tanker collided with another ship in Bosphorus. Romanian ship exploded, 43 people died, and the explosion shattered the glass windows of a quarter of Istanbul's flats. More than 90,000 tons of crude oil spilled and polluted the Bosphorus for a few years, not to mention it burned 27 days. The new canal will have a relatively straight path and be able to handle 160 up to 180 ships per day, including tankers' net carrying capacity of up to 300,000 tons. The government argued that every year tens of thousands of ships carry oil, gas, chemicals, arms, and other hazardous materials, and it will divert those dangerous ships to the new canal since the shores of Bosphorus is very crowded with millions of people and not to mention historical sites. But they have also proposed residential complexes around the new canal, which kinda cancels out their own argument. The Ministry of Transportation estimated that revenue from tolls would be at least $1 billion annually and could grow to $5 billion when maximum capacity is reached. It seems a bit over-optimistic considering the passing through Bosphorus and Dardanelles is free for everyone. This brings us to another problem, the Montreux Convention. The Montreux Convention is a 1926 agreement that gives Turkey control over the Bosphorus and Dardanelles and regulates the transit of naval warships. The convention guarantees a passage of civilian and merchant vessels in peacetime and free of charge, and it also restricts the passage of naval warships not belonging to the Black Sea states. So at the moment, no one is paying Turkey when ships pass by the Straits of Bosphorus and Dardanelles, so they're not earning a dime at all, unlike Egypt in Suez Canal and Panama in Panama Canal. For example, in just 1 year from 2020 to 2021, Egypt earned almost $6 billion from charging ships crossing through the Suez Canal. There is 3 times more traffic in Bosphorus and Turkey isn't earning at all. Hence, Turkey is taking advantage of this new project, creating a new canal, and it will be exempt from the Montreux Convention as it is not a natural water passage like Bosphorus. You might be wondering why would anyone go to use the new canal paying the fee while there is a free route which is also shorter? Well, according to the convention, Turkey doesn't have a right to block the passage for merchant and civilian ships, but it does have a right to inspect them for sanitary purposes and check the safety standards of each vessel crossing the straits. Currently, wait time in Bosphorus is 14 hours on average, and it goes up to 35 hours. And when Turkey builds the canal, pretty sure safety checks will be prolonged much longer, to the point that wait time isn't just worth it. In compounding effect, even a couple of hours saved in shipment may be a better option economically in the long run. The same method is used in highways. For example, there are freeways and there are tollways. There are a lot of people willing to pay toll, saving time and hassle, than driving on freeway routes. The basic idea is, first, build an alternative toll canal, the second, make the use of the Bosphorus difficult, and the third, profit. Additionally, Canal will link with the new $10 billion airport that will feature the largest indoor terminal in the world. It will handle 200 million passengers annually, along with an air cargo hub that Turkey hopes will draw traffic from current European airports. But there are, of course, big ecological problems with this canal project. Today, around 40% of Istanbul's water comes from the European side of the city, and it will be severely impacted by the canal and airport. Moreover, there is a huge misconception on the internet about this project. For example, people writing how the US and NATO wants to bring more warships into the Black Sea to counter Russia. Well, the Montreux Convention is effective both for Bosphorus and Dardanelles. So US Navy aircraft carriers still cannot enter the Black Sea because they still have to pass through Dardanelles, which they cannot because of the 15,000 tonnage limitation. If Turkey's intention was to let more warships and aircraft carriers into the Black Sea, then they would have to build another canal bypassing Dardanelles as well. So Turkey's intention is not militarily inspired at all. I think it all goes down to the revenue and money that the shores of the canal will generate. One of the good examples is Dubai. There is a huge misconception that all skyscrapers and buildings in Dubai are built by the government's oil money. This is not correct. Around 70 to 80% of all buildings are foreign real estate developers who invested in Dubai building those towers and all those tourist attractions. Government of Dubai just made a foundation and foreign companies got interested and built it up. So Bosphorus is a tourist and cultural hub, and the economy that revolves around its shores is huge. Turkey is building the canal as a foundation, hoping that it will turn into Bosphorus 2.0 and increase the economy of Istanbul and Turkey as a whole. But it does have significant risks, and it will be interesting to see how this project plays out in the long term. Well, that's pretty much it. Let me know what do you think about Turkey building the canal. Will it be successful or not? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. If you liked the video, please subscribe and smash the like button, and thanks to all these Patreon supporters. Your support means a lot.